are you?
I'm Ray.
Ray who?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 movie endings that made fans rage quit.
Now you know. That's your future.
For this list, we'll be looking at the endings of movies based on pre-existing properties that were the most baffling, underwhelming, or just plain lazy. Since we're getting into important plot details, this is your spoiler warning. What movie ending had you considering revoking your fandom? Let us know in the comments. Number 20, Halloween Ends. The rebooted Halloween trilogy started strong before declining with Halloween Kills, and coming to an unsatisfying finish with Halloween Ends.
Oh.
While marketing material teased a final showdown between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, the movie is mostly about Corey Cunningham, an entirely new character.
But the difference, Allison, between me and you is that people look at me like, who is this guy? Who is this monster?
We do get the Michael-Laurie match, and he's defeated and his body is destroyed. But the lead-up is so clumsily executed that it's nowhere near as satisfying as it should be. If and when a new Halloween series comes along, we can only hope it has a better ending than this.
I've said goodbye to my boogeyman. But the truth is, evil doesn't die. It changes shape.
Number 19, Dark Phoenix. The original X-Men film series came to a dispiriting conclusion with Dark Phoenix.
Just admit you were wrong, please.
An origin story about mutant Jean Grey's chaotic Phoenix persona, Dark Phoenix is so poorly conceived, even completists should consider skipping it.
You can control it. You can do anything you set your mind to.
So show me.
The very end suggests that the filmmakers didn't have much faith in the main concept. Professor Xavier has retired and his school has been renamed in honor of Jean Grey. While at a Parisian cafe, Eric, also known as Magneto, catches him off guard and challenges him to a chess game. The relationship between the two is crucial to this series, but Dark Phoenix spends so little time on that this ending has no substance.
I go easy on you. No, you weren't.
Number 18, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. Director Michael Bay has admitted that his second Transformers film wasn't up to par, later referring to it as, quote, crap.
So much negativity, and who wants to live a life filled with hate?
He attributes much of the blame to the rushed script due to a looming writer's strike. That might explain why the ending is such a dud. Earlier in the film, Optimus Prime is killed by Megatron.
Run.
Given what an iconic character he is, we didn't expect him to stay gone, but the way he's revived with a single convenient item feels rather contrived. The term Deus Ex Machina translates to God from the Machine, and it's especially apt here. There's less to this finale than meets the eye.
I rise, you fall.
Number 17, Saw 3D. At the end of the first Saw movie, Cary Elwes's Dr. Lawrence Gordon amputates his own foot to free himself, and then goes off to find help. But his ultimate fate remained a mystery, that is, until the 7th installment, promoted as the final chapter. After Jigsaw apprentice Mark Hoffman goes on a rampage and tries to flee town, he's apprehended by people wearing pig masks. Their leader just so happens to be Dr. Gordon, who has also been working as a Jigsaw apprentice. While we're glad to get some closure on Gordon's story, this is an unsatisfying ending that raises more questions than it answers.
No!
Game over.
No!
Number 16, Thor: The Dark World. The second Thor film is generally considered to be one of the worst MCU installments.
You still don't trust me, brother.
Would you?
It arguably has the worst ending. Villainous brother Loki is apparently killed in combat. Later, Thor turns down an offer from his father Odin to ascend the throne.
I'd rather be a good man than a great king.
This would have been a fine way to end things. Except that's not Odin, it's Loki in disguise. Any pathos from his now pseudo-death scene is gone with this aggravating twist. Loki is best known for being a trickster, but that doesn't mean we should excuse this kind of sloppy writing.
No. Thank you.
Number 15, The Twilight Saga: Breaking Dawn Part 2. By now, It Was All a Dream is understood as a surefire way to annoy an audience.
So he's done this before.
It happens so rarely. I never realized it was a pattern.
And that also applies to any and all variations of that infamous trope. Towards the end of this vampire saga is a chaotic battle that's honestly pretty invigorating and surprising. For once, it seems like Twilight is introducing some real tension. Then we find out it was all a vision, and there's no battle. Any time invested in the action and carnage is instantly dissipated. And we as viewers are left fuming that we were manipulated like that.
Such a prize.
Number 14, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It feels like the makers of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't learn the lessons of Spider-Man 3. Like that movie, the second and final installment in the Andrew Garfield starring series has way more plot lines than it needs.
Okay.
And it comes to an especially frustrating finish. Russian gangster Alexei Sitsevich completes his transformation into the Rhino and unleashes terror on New York, but he's confronted by everyone's favorite web-slinger.
On behalf of the fine people of New York City and real rhinos everywhere, I ask you to put your mechanized paws in the air.
Never!
They fight for less than a minute, and then the credits roll.
There's no place like home.
A proper match between Spider-Man and the Rhino would have been great to see, but it was sadly not to be in this overstuffed outing. Number 13, It Chapter 2. The second and final part of this Stephen King adaptation sees the now adult members of the Losers Club defeating the evil Pennywise the Dancing Clown once and for all.
There's more than one way to make someone small.
On paper, that's a totally acceptable way to end a movie like this, but it's how it reaches this conclusion that doesn't gel. The losers devise a plan to overcome this fearsome entity. It involves mocking and taunting him.
You're just a clown.
And it works? Pennywise is literally diminished and destroyed by them. Who knew some name-calling was all you needed to stop a diabolical killer clown? We certainly did not. Number 12, Jaws: The Revenge. Most movies look bad when compared to the original Jaws.
I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying that maybe there are other possibilities.
Jaws: The Revenge looks downright unwatchable. The fourth and currently final film in the franchise is easily the worst, with a preposterous plot involving a shark stalking Ellen Brody's family being just the start. We get a human versus shark finale, but where the first Jaws had us at the edge of our seats in tension, Revenge has us staring at the ceiling in disbelief. Perhaps most ridiculous is Ellen flashing back to her late husband killing the original shark when she wasn't there to witness it. We also get the character of Jake making a miraculous recovery, despite being total shark food before.
Michael, you got a minute? It's Jake!
It was clear this franchise was dead in the water. Number 11, Morbius. Don't let the memes fool you. Morbius isn't so bad it's good, it's just bad.
I can't control it!
While the ending to the film itself is nothing remarkable, it's what comes immediately after that leaves such a sour taste. In the first mid-credits scene, Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, last seen in MCU's Spider-Man Homecoming, is magically transported from his universe to this one.
Hope the food's better in this joint.
Then, in another scene, he meets Dr. Michael Morbius out in the desert, and tries to recruit him for a team-up, name-dropping Spider-Man.
I'm not sure how I got here. Has to do with Spider-Man, I think.
This might have worked if Spider-Man was brought up at all in the movie. Instead, this comes across as a desperate attempt to connect this film to much better ones.
Number 10, Fantastic Four. There's nothing quite like watching a bad movie trying to set up for a sequel. Fans and critics alike had many problems with Fox's second stab at creating the famous Marvel team, most of which had to do with dialogue, characterization, and the film's villain.
Enough!
When your world is destroyed, and I'm all that's left, then it will be enough.
But a worthwhile ending could have given audiences a glimmer of hope and something to look forward to. However, that's not what happened.
Now!
Alright! It's clobbering time!
After an underwhelming CGI battle, complete with a giant light beam in the sky, the team returned to their dimension to soak in the glory. Their forced and cheesy camaraderie is bad enough, and the lack of chemistry between the leads just makes it worse.
It's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Number 9. War of the Worlds. This action sci-fi film was eagerly anticipated by fans of H.G. Wells' classic novel, first adapted for the screen in 1953. And the relentless onslaught of the big bad alien starts out promisingly enough. However, when they're suddenly killed off by germs, it brings the climax to a screeching halt.
Flirt!
To top it off, the movie inexplicably has the hero's teenage son show up after seemingly dying earlier on. Even Spielberg himself doesn't like how the film wraps up, stating, quote, "I never could figure out how to end that darn thing." While the ending is similar to the book, there are some things that just work better on paper.
From the moment the invaders arrived, breathed our air, ate, and drank, they were doomed.
Number 8. The Dark Knight Rises. Some fans had problems with the entirety of the third act in Christopher Nolan's Batman finale. And while those are valid concerns, it's the last shot that brings up the most issues. After Bruce sacrifices himself to save Gotham City, Alfred takes a well-earned vacation to Florence. It's there that he spots the very much alive Bruce having lunch and gives him a knowing smile. It's a nice callback to an earlier scene, but it completely falls apart once you think about it. How did Bruce survive? And isn't it entirely improbable that they would be at that restaurant on that specific day and that specific time? We know it feels more cinematic, but it still doesn't make any sense.
I'm so sorry. I failed you.
Number 7. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Yeah, the aliens. Indiana Jones was never a stranger to supernatural forces, having encountered face-melting arcs and chalice-guarding ghosts. But when it came to introducing aliens to the franchise, it was a bit too much for some to handle. After finally reaching the hidden chamber, the adventurers return the crystal skull to its skeleton and bring the aliens to life.
Go over it!
This event conveniently leads to the death of the villains, and the heroes are able to escape. While Indy had dealt with the strange and bizarre in the past, they were all steeped in the history of this world. And for many fans, the aliens just didn't fit with this universe.
Where did they go? Space?
Not into space. Into the space between spaces.
Number 6. The Mist. Fans of Stephen King's chilling novella probably went into this expecting the same ending, but they were sadly mistaken.
There's 5 of us.
After being trapped in a grocery store by horrifying creatures shrouded in mist, David is able to escape with his son and 3 others. But with no gas and only 4 bullets, he decides to shoot them to save them from a monstrous fate. He does so only to have the military show up moments later to rescue them. While the novella is still bleak, it at least ends with a silver lining, having David and the group traveling into an unknown future in search of safety. But this is just mean, and many moviegoers felt cheated. Number 5. I Am Legend. Based on Richard Matheson's 1954 novel, this film featuring Will Smith was actually the 3rd time the book had been adapted. Dr. Robert Neville spends his time capturing and experimenting on the vampiric Darkseekers in search of a cure. The theatrical ending has Neville sacrifice himself with a grenade to save Anna, Ethan, and the cure. But in the alternate ending, which is more in line with the spirit of the book, he learns that the Darkseekers are only attacking Neville because he's killing them off, and want to protect their own. To them, he's the monster.
I'm sorry.
Many fans felt that the theatrical ending was formulaic, added just so the movie could end on a bang.
Number 4. Superman.
The very first Superman movie was a hit in 1978, and showed for the first time that comic books could be made into successful films. But while the movie was well received overall, the ending was truly baffling, as has been pointed out ad nauseum since. With Lois dead from an earthquake, Superman flies around the planet in order to reverse time and save her. Regardless of the fact that that just wouldn't work, and would instead cause more destruction, this was never an ability Superman possessed in the comics. It made no sense, and made Superman so powerful he could just rewrite history.
Hi. Don't bother, I think it's dead.
It wouldn't be the last time a Superman movie ended on an unsatisfactory note.
Number 3, Planet of the Apes. Rebooting a classic is always going to be tough, especially one with such an iconic ending. In the 1968 film, Charlton Heston's character discovers that the titular planet is really Earth, far in the future.
God damn you all to hell!
Tim Burton's adaptation tried to rival this with a new shocking twist that makes no sense whatsoever. After defeating General Thade, Mark Wahlberg's Leo escapes Ashlar to return to Earth, only to find that the Lincoln Memorial is now for General Thade. He traveled back to his own time from the year 5021. So why is there a monument to Thade? Why have apes replaced humans? This ridiculous ending is now infamous, giving 20th Century Fox good reason to reboot the franchise a decade later. Number 2, The Matrix Revolutions.
One surefire way to disappoint fans is to completely confuse them, which is exactly what the Wachowski siblings did with this third installment.
Is it over?
There are heroic moments like Neo defeating Agent Smith and the citizens of Zion celebrating the end of the war, but the film closes on more questions than answers. With Neo's sacrifice, the machines take his body, but what will they do with it? Why does the Oracle feel that they'll see him again? And what about the rest of humanity, still plugged into the Matrix?
Though this franchise started with one of the most renowned sci-fi films of all time, this sequel ended in a muddled mess.
Will we ever see him again?
I suspect so. Someday.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. The Star Wars sequel trilogy came to an immensely lackluster finish with The Rise of Skywalker. While many fans were let down by The Last Jedi, its follow-up was even more disappointing.
I don't want this!
We learned that Rey, previously thought to be unrelated to any famous families in the galaxy, is actually the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine, who's inexplicably been resurrected.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
At the end of the movie, Rey is asked for her full name. She replies with,
Rey Skywalker.
What could have been a resonant moment where our protagonist establishes her independence is instead squandered in 2 words. The Skywalker name is obviously an essential part of Star Wars, but that doesn't mean it has to be the only focus. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.